Joining us now, Representative Dusty Johnson, Republican of South Dakota. He's a member of the Agriculture Committee, also the member of the chair of the Republican Main Street Caucus. Representative Johnson, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Johnson, this was supposed to be what was known as Crypto Week in the House. There was some stalling as far as passage of bills related to that. Can you tell our audience what is happening?
Yeah, there were three different digital asset bills. Some members of the House wanted to join them all together and send them over to the Senate to kind of jam the Senate, make the Senate take our consolidated work product. The rule that really provided the path forward didn't call the play that way. It said we were going to vote on each of them separately. That's ultimately what's going to happen. There are some folks who have very legitimate concerns about what is called a central bank digital currency. That's where a federal government like our own would create a digital asset, a coin, something like Bitcoin, but it would be a government asset. And people have some very legitimate concerns about what would that mean for the privacy of Americans. Could a government just turn off your ability to use that money to buy something maybe the government didn't want you to buy? We have seen that kind of authoritarian behavior in China, and raises concerns about what our federal government could do. And so we've come to an agreement on the Republican side that a top priority is going to be the prohibition of the formation of that central bank digital currency. We're going to pass that as a standalone bill today. We're also going to pursue some other ways to try to get that passed into law.
Explain what cryptocurrency is and the House's interest in it this week.
Yeah, people have a tendency to think about cryptocurrency or digital assets as a payment mechanism, and that's really not it. I mean, I guess somebody someday will be able to buy gum with Bitcoin, but that's not really what empowers or why we're so excited about this. The reality is that Web3, the next wave of innovation, is really going to be built on blockchains. These are publicly available ledgers where you can see where these different tokens are going and by whom. Now, there's lots of anonymous information in there. It's not like everybody's personal private information is out there for everybody's review, but it makes it frictionless. These tokens can just do all kinds of things behind the scenes in a way that is far less cumbersome than today's financial or logistics system. And so it's the blockchain innovation we want. The tokens really unlock the use of that blockchain, and every single industry over time is going to be revolutionized by these blockchains in the same way that every industry was revolutionized by the web. We want that innovation, we want that investment to happen here, and because our country has been so far behind the eight ball on having common sense regulatory regimes, a lot of that innovation has moved overseas.
In the lead up to this, Representative, it was the Congressional Progressive Caucus talking about that Clarity Act that you mentioned. They said that the Clarity Act proposes broader crypto market structure overhauls, but similarly fails to address Mr. Trump's financial conflicts of interest or impose adequate consumer protections. It enables corruption through pay-for-play schemes involving Mr. Trump's personal cryptocurrency and Memecoin while undermining regulatory enforcement and shielding bad actors. It goes from there. But what do you think about the argument made there?
I think it's very weak, in part because this bill does not enable any of that. I mean, they can say that. That does not make it reality. This bill is silent on things like Memecoins. The Clarity Act provides a regulatory regime for digital commodities. Okay, and that has legal meaning in the law. We have a Commodities Future Trading Commission. We have a Securities and Exchange Commission. They have regulatory oversight over a particular type of asset. Our bill provides that kind of oversight, which would normally be over traditional commodities and traditional securities, and make sure that we have a regime that works for digital commodities. And that's not what a meme coin is. If somebody's committing fraud, there are existing laws that would be able to hold them accountable for that. The reality is that everyone acknowledges that there are spot market gaps, that today fraudsters like the folks at FTX, our current lack of regulatory clarity is making it easier for them to defraud consumers. When clarity passes, consumers will be much, much, much better off.
You mentioned it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the president does have a meme coin. I believe he has a stable coin. Does that complicate the matter, considering this is a legislative effort?
Oh, you've got a certain number of folks, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, that Every bill we bring up is about President Trump. And listen, I don't know all his business dealings with regard to Memecoins. I think a lot of this activity is being done with some of his associates. And the reality is, if they're breaking any laws, then they're going to be held accountable to they're going to be accountable to the law. Obviously, that's how it's supposed to be in our country. But let's set that aside for a minute. What we know is that regardless of how you feel about somebody issuing a meme coin, we want to make sure that consumers are protected with regard to digital commodities. We want to make sure that the innovation and investment happens here. We want to make sure that a central bank digital currency is not created in this country. We want to make sure that the stablecoin environment is one where consumers and investors are protected. That's what clarity, that's what genius, that's what the anti-CBDC bill would get done in the next 24 hours right here in the House.
The Senate is sending over to you their version of what they took on the Recisions Package. Where are you on it as of today?
I voted yes on the Recisions Package when it first came through the House. The Senate has backed off some of those cuts. A number of their changes I think make sense. I want a little more time to analyze them, but I too had some concerns about what some of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting cuts might mean in very rural areas and in reservation areas in my state. One of my senators, Senator Mike Rounds, did a good job raising that issue and getting some adjustments made. I expect the Recisions Package will pass through the House on the same kind of vote totals that it did the first time.
Some of the ones, because of where you live in North Dakota, some of the cautions that were made is because PBS provides emergency services, and in an emergency, the ability to communicate information related to that. Are those part of your concerns?
No, none of the emergency response dollars were cut as a part of this. And so, because clearly there is a really, really important role in making sure in rural areas that you've got that emergency response. That was untouched by this, and so that's not one of my primary concerns. Now there can be some ancillary areas to concerns to that, where there can be really important public information provided that wouldn't be part of a national emergency broadcast system. And so I understand why myself, Senator Rounds, and others wanted to make sure that those extra rural concerns were taken care of.
On the tech front, you are championing something called e-permit. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, it takes way too long to build big projects in this country, and it is unfortunately a uniquely American problem. The same kind of road project you can get cited in Germany in 6 months takes you 6 years in America. It is absolutely unfathomable why we have let things get so bad. We can cut the review time in half by having a cloud-based digital platform where agencies are able to seamlessly shift all of those papers from one agency of review to another, or have both of them doing parallel review. Right now they're dealing with old, cumbersome PDFs. It does not work well. And so let's try to bring some more modern technology to this review process. Clearly, the German government still cares about the environment. They still care about habitat for endangered species. If they're able to do their work in 6 months, there isn't any reason why the United States shouldn't be able to as well.
Before we let you go, the Main Street Caucus, what is that? What's the purpose?
Yeah, that would be 80 or 85 of the more traditional Republicans. Think of them as the Reagan Republicans. There are the folks who basically want to get things done in this town. Some of my colleagues like to yell and scream. That's not as much the Main Street way. We are authentic conservatives. We want to bend the arc of history toward freedom, but we want to do it in a way that I think makes sure that America is able to build, and that America is able to, that this institution is able to get its work done.
So back to the Recisions Package real quick, because it's compared to the regular budget and overall it's a small amount. Are other Recisions Packages coming, or do you think that what was recommended by DOJ initially overall will be seen passed in the House and the Senate?
We don't yet know how effective this year's appropriations process is going to be. If it works like it should work, the appropriate cuts that were found by DOJ, the kind of things that are broadly supported by America, will be implemented, will be put into that appropriations package. In which case another Recisions Package wouldn't be quite as important. But we still have a long time between now and September 30th. To the extent that we have found dollars that should not be spent between now and September 30th, a Recisions Package could make a tremendous amount of sense.
Representative Dusty Johnson joining us as part of this open forum hour. Representative, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Back